After talking about the employee's awareness towards his rights with respect to privacy, I thought let's look at what are the DPO responsibilities when it comes to handling the workplace environment. It's important, and we are going to talk about the DPO's functions only with respect to the data of the internal employees. It would be a series of 4 to 5 videos. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on privacy. And as said, in this video, DPO's responsibilities in the workplace, subsequently followed by more details on it. So, very simple. Privacy starts at home. If you can't handle your own internal data with privacy regulations, how would you expect or how would you work with the external data? Many people will argue and say external data is more important. Well, if a breach is found with your internal staff data, then that external person would get even more scared, right? It should start at home. It's a good way to start because it's a good way to lay the grounds of rules of how you are going to handle data. And there's a large volume of data that gets processed for the internal staff members. Huge in some cases. There's a large variety also. For prospects, you may just take his contact details. But for employees, you are not restricted to a contact details only. I mean, even for your customers, what you have is contact details for one person, two-person, maybe 20 people. But for an individual, in case of your employee, you have his payroll information, his banking information, his financials, his biometrics, right? Sensitive data. Financials and biometric are sensitive personal data. His performance matrices and his educational qualifications, and these are important factors, right? So the variety of data is more when it comes to the internal privacy, and these people not only handle their own data, they are the ones who are going to handle the external data. So if they are confident that their data is safe, they would be more confident handling the external data. Privacy is meant for personal data. The definition is clear. Indian DPDP makes it digitized personal data, either collected in digital form or manually collected but converted it to or processed into a digital data. Right? So regulators say it's personal data. How does it matter whether it's about the internal people or whether it's about the external people? Right? It does not matter. So regulators want privacy to be maintained for the internal staff members also. DPO is the one who forms the privacy culture in the organization. He would help you understand how to handle personal data, and if the employees understand that, and if they can see what fear they could have with their personal data, they'll handle the external data also well. So his key responsibilities when it comes to the workplace data or the internal data: training and awareness to all the employees in terms of handling data of their colleagues, while also handling the data of the customers, vendors, associates. DPO needs to create a policy for the HR department. How would the data be collected? How would it be handled? How would it be processed? How would it be destroyed as well? And they also need to relook at the HR processes to ensure that privacy items are included or reconstruct them through the principles of privacy by design. Employees should be aware of their data rights, how their data is going to get handled. Employee data rights are as important as the rights of customers and vendors. What about risk of breach? It has to be controlled for employees also. Compliances need to be monitored. So DPO has to do these critical functions when it comes to handling the workplace data. Of course, the managing risk as well as monitoring risk and seeing that if there's a breach, then how does that breach get handled? There has to be a grievance system even for the internal people. Vendor management and authority lies. And now you'll say vendor then is vendor. It's not talking of vendor as a vendor. Now we are talking of vendor with respect to the employee data. You might be sending certain things to employees at home. Larger companies would have employees conveyance cover, right? Cabs, chartered buses. So they are providing that list of employees and their addresses to external parties. So they need to be careful accordingly. So they have to liaise on them very well. What are the unique challenges? The biggest one when it comes to employee data. It is not just collected on consent. Maybe sometimes employees have to give consent because there are certain processes that would run the HR way, right? So the processes are governed not only from privacy point of view but also from the employment point of view, like PF processing, salary processing. So the consent may not sometimes be relevant. Those should be taken. Then the process is longer, not as easy as generally with the customers and prospects. You can ease it off if you have a proper portal for your employees, then you can have consent forms created available there to be uploaded. Difficult to be revoked. An employee cannot say, I don't want my salary to be processed like this. Salary has to be processed the way it is to be processed. Provident fund rules have to be taken care like the way they have to be taken care. Many organizations mandate that you need to have a savings account in their own banks. Salary would go to that account only, right? So there are employment regulations that need to be followed and data to be handled accordingly. For example, payroll processing, doing background verification, video surveillance. If it's a mandate that the organization has to have videos around, it's a mandate. For security, if the mobile phones, especially smartphones, have to be locked outside the office premises, it has to be, right? You can't say that because you are doing that, so I withdraw my consent. That means you are leaving the job also. Employees have very less control, and that makes the employer more responsible, right? Because you can later on definitely work out and say that this was the employment norm, but that does not mean that you have to risk his privacy. So you have to find a right way to create a balance between the privacy of the employee and his rights given to him by the privacy teams. Balance between monitoring emails for security purposes versus personal surveillance is a very big example. You are not monitoring his emails for his personal activities, you are monitoring them for security, like malwares and threats. Building a privacy culture, not just a compliance. Build a privacy culture in the organization. That's the key thing that any DPO in any organization should do, starting from workplace internal employee data makes it easier. Employees should treat it with respect because then they learn how to treat each other's personal data as well. Right? The manager would know how to handle his team's personal data. He knows their performance. Is it required to be announced publicly, or does privacy says, well, we have gauged the performance, document it, send it to HR, right? Nothing else to be done. Employees, of course, need to know their privacy rights. The HR, IT, and admin teams need to collaborate and create a proper privacy culture, become a mindset that data has to be handled properly. Compliance is not something that can be mandated. That's where the principle, privacy by design principles also come in. Compliance is something that needs to be made as a culture, and culture is cultivated in the organization. So that's the beginning of talking about the DPO's roles and responsibilities when it comes to the internal data or workplace data for an organization. As informed in this start, we'll continue talking more about DPO responsibilities in depth in each one of them in the coming subsequent videos. Stay tuned, say subscribe, press the bell and the like icon, and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.